Thanks everybody for joining tonight. My name is Crystal Wilson. If you don't know, I'm the acting executive director of Our Livable Solutions. Um, and if you don't know about Our Livable Solutions, because I know some people are coming in from spaces we don't normally interact with, we actively pursue community solutions which aim to end homelessness. And the key is in partnership with people with lived experience. So everything we do is partnered with people who need the support or have the ideas that we help bring to life. We are a charitable organization. Our tax number is there for you to see if you need. And we operate with a board, a very light staff of me and a lot of volunteers, and we are about to hire another staff member. Yay. OLS has been putting together some pieces to help be part of the solution to homelessness. So we have a first aid initiative. If you want to know more about these, I'm not going to talk a lot about a bunch of the initiatives, but if you want to know more, feel free to ask in the question section. So we run a first aid initiative with a goal of getting 100 people trained in first aid this year. We run ID clinics to get people the vital ID they need to be able to access housing. We make sure that we have living experience, people who are currently experiencing homelessness within our volunteers and advisory committees. And our alumni, people who've come through our programs, especially the cabin program, and help advise us on how to build new programs, how to find new solutions, and how to help the broader community exit homelessness. We currently have a 7-bedroom community house, which the residents have dubbed the Spark of Life House. It's been operating really well. Um, Forest Care Team, planting forests in partnership with Little Forest Kingston. We get together for potlucks with our alumni and volunteers. And for people newly housed, we provide a package of cleaning supplies, whether they're through our program or any other program, to make sure they set the standard of keeping their apartments clean. We have a dental fund, and we just launched a microloan pilot project for people to start building businesses as they exit homelessness. We can only do all of this thanks to volunteer efforts and our donors and our really strong bingo team that are generating charitable bingo dollars so that we can enable projects like what we're going to talk about tonight. There's a few missing pieces that we've had along the way. One of them is finding a way to communicate more broadly with the people we support. Communications is really sporadic. People lose their phones. They can't pay for cell phone service. They have to run to Wi-Fi locations to be able to answer messages. So there's usually big gaps in communications and or big efforts, a lot of foot effort trying to find people. And then Crossroads Village, a cabin community that is supposed to be at 690 Sir John A Boulevard. We're still working on that. Um, so our street, I'm trying to move my our pictures around so I can see. So our street outreach team, it consists of volunteers, former staff, OLS alumni, and people who are currently in encampments. We work together to help lift each other up and lift other people out of homelessness. And especially people who are currently unhoused, they will reach out to us when they encounter somebody new who needs support or needs to know, what direction to turn. Or if somebody's especially struggling, we might reach out and ask for a little bit of extra support for that person. And then we run the First Aid Initiative in partnership with Push for Life. They're former paramedics who started a first aid training company on Princess Street. So we partner with them to try to get, our goal is to get 100 people trained in first aid this year so that people can help each other better when they're out on the streets. And then we run ID clinics in partnership with Chalmers United Church on Berry Street. So every Tuesday morning from 10 till 12, we're processing birth certificate applications. And then once those come in, then we help people get their health cards and photo ID cards. The missing piece in all of this is communications, and that's why we're here tonight to talk about that. So we held a meeting, or some people who to just start talk about our street outreach team and how we could do the work better. And one of the key pieces was how do we communicate? How do people, in various situations communicate with the team? How do we make sure one key piece from safety is how do we keep track of the team? So I've been looking for solutions to that. And then um, up on, up on Facebook popped this poster about Meshcore one day, and so I started looking into it. Contacted Andrew, Gagnon, who developed the poster, and it turned out Andrew knows our the population we serve really well because he's a paramedic and works at the safe consumption site on Montreal Street. So we had a lot in common and a lot of discussions about how this could actually empower the people that we both support. So I started looking into the more technical aspects of Meshcore. Andrew's already been building out with a group of people, the Kingston and South Frontenac Mesh Network. They've been working on developing the Meshcore network in Kingston anyway, and they're organized on Discord. So there is already communication network between using Meshcore between Sydenham and Harrowsmith, and also in West Kingston. So Meshcore, the best place to start if you want to dig into what this actually is. It's an off-grid open source text messaging system. Think like the old BBS systems if you're as old as I am. Um, but it's a secure way to communicate without power, without Wi-Fi, without cell systems. So if the lights go out, we still have a way to communicate. It uses a mesh system, which is a pile of repeaters that send the messages down to what are called companion devices. So if you want to dig in more to the technical aspects of Meshcore, I would start with meshcore.io. So the Meshcore, this is a map of the world and the Meshcore community across the world. So it's a growing community. It only started in 2024, so it's been growing quite rapidly. And sorry, my map got skewed. Um, just in our area, Kingston has a developing Meshcore network, but if you look at Ottawa and Toronto, they've been building out a pretty robust one. One of our goals through this work is that if Kingston can become the bridge between Toronto and Ottawa, then all of our networks across Eastern Ontario can communicate. And for our purposes, that means people without housing who we interact with, if they travel, which sometimes happens, some people are kind of move around looking for supports, then they can stay in touch with us, which is a pretty exciting thing. Sometimes we just lose track of people because we don't know if they've moved on or in hospital or jail or whatever's happened to them. So this way we can keep a bit better connection with them and they can still feel part of our community. So as I said, we already have a connection in Kingston thanks to Andrew and his team between Sydenham and Harrowsmith, and also a repeater in West Kingston. But for the purposes that we're looking for, the use case that we're looking for, we need about 10 repeaters to cover Kingston. And we've already identified some preferred locations and have reached out to those the building owners of those places to see if they would be willing to participate. One of the key, exciting features of Meshcore is to build out the whole network in Kingston is about a $2,700 investment of the repeater technology. So Meshcore, or this communication network that we're talking about, it uses long range radio frequency. So, an example, it said, and an analogy was like yelling across a valley, instead of having a conversation next door. So if you yell a whole bunch of stuff, it's going to get all garbled. But if you send short sentences, it should carry pretty well across a valley or without an echo. Um, So the radio frequency that we'll be using is unlicensed, so there's no cost to using it, and there isn't a user fee to using it. And it's already used across other there's already other use cases like smart meters, like environmental monitoring, like you can put tags on your assets and track them. So it's well used technology. We're just using it for a little bit different case. Um, and this is the extent of the network. So we'll need repeaters. This is just a model. There's lots of different kinds of repeaters. The group that I'm working with had identified the Heltec V4 repeaters. We've got a full design, but there's lots of possibilities. So people could put up other kinds of repeaters or repeaters that have other kinds of different kinds of features in them. And then we've identified this sense capped T1000 as the initial companion device. So the people who want to interact with the system would have a companion device to be able to interact with it. And the sense cap is the one that we felt was most robust and durable and able to handle our use case. But there are lots of options. People can make their own homemade repeaters. You can buy commercial repeaters. You can make your own homemade companion devices. And there's lots of commercial options as well. We were looking for something that was relatively waterproof, durable for the use case we have, and has a long battery so that people weren't constantly having to charge their companion device. Um, there are also companion devices that have integrated keyboards. So far, I haven't found one that has good reviews, so I'm not going to recommend one tonight, but I am still looking for one so that way um, we um, we can use the companion devices as a standalone device. So with the companion device, it links by Bluetooth to your technology that uses Bluetooth. So it can link to smartphones, tablets, or laptops, and then you download an app onto your device, and then you can just text the same as if you use WhatsApp or any other kind of text plus or any other kind of texting app. The same thing applies, only if the power goes out, you still have textability. If cell phones go down, cell service goes down, you still have the ability to connect to each other, connect to the people that are on the Meshcore network. Um, so the reason that OLS wants to develop this network is so we can connect people without homes, so that they can access services, so they can access our street outreach team, so we can share information about community supports, so we can send out warnings about hazards, so we can find the people that we are looking for, and so that people can feel connected to our community, so they through this network they can connect to each other without us being a part of that. Once the network is up, we can see uses like people that are clustered together in an encampment creating their own chat group, so they can chat with each other. And then our outreach team would have its own accounts and its own chat rooms so that people can reach out to us for support. Other organizations are welcome to join as well if they have other street outreach teams or supports that they want to participate with. They, can come talk to us about companion devices, but also they can just buy their own too and join in. So once the network is established, it's an open network and anybody who wants to participate can join in. So what we have done already, we've been moving pretty quickly. So thanks to the tech team that's already starting to build up, we've gained a lot of knowledge about how Meshcore works and what we need to do to build the network. We've met with our initial street outreach team to understand how we can work better out on the streets, interacting with each other and with people that need support. I joined two different Discord, so the tech communities for Meshcore that we've interacted with are both on Discord. One from Ottawa that's quite a robust community, and then the Kingston one is developing. We've reached out to organizations or companies that builds the kind of technology that we would need for this network to seek sponsorship opportunities, fingers crossed. And we've also sent out partnerships requests to places that might host a repeater, and have gotten some positive feedback around that. So we've been able to identify locations where we might need repeaters, and also buildings that are quite tall in that area, to put the repeaters. We've also requested that a local store, a local tech store, consider holding inventory so that other members of the community can purchase pieces that are needed to participate in the Meshcore network, instead of having to order, say, on Amazon or from AliExpress. And then our Livable Solutions board has approved helping to fund the build out of the Meshcore network in Kingston. So we've dedicated $5,000 towards building the network. So, like I said, about 2,700 to finish building out um, the repeater network that we need, and then the additional money will be used to get some companion devices into people's hands to get started. We've already had an article in the Kingston Crow that went out on Friday talking about what we're up to. And a tech magazine has reached out, and they're going to run an article about this as well. We've sent out invitations to potential community partners to join tonight's meeting or to begin discussions about participating as well. Um, we're starting this meeting is to start discussions, but there's lots of opportunity for community participation in this effort. So the way that OLS plans on rolling out our Meshcore use is that we're going to start distributing companion devices to our volunteers, say our board members and some of our key volunteers, just to start playing with the network, testing for bugs and kind of figuring out what works and what needs some work. Before we start deploying the companion devices on the street, we want to know what kind of frustrations we might end up in, and work our way through those so that the people in need of housing that are going to use this don't end up in a position where they're frustrated with the technology. And then we're going to roll out companion devices to the people that are on our street outreach team. So these are people who volunteer with us. There are people who are in encampments already, who have been certified in first aid. We're using this for first aid as a kind of I'm gonna say qualification metric, but the people that have participated in first aid training and some employment training with us are ones that have shown more dedication towards helping others, and so we want to get the companion devices into their hands first, and then as we get people trained in first aid, we're going to partner that with getting companion devices into their hands. So May 26th, we have a partnership training event with Elizabeth Fry Society, and I think we have 14 people signed up already. So they'll be offered the opportunity to participate in this initiative once they graduate their first aid or get their first aid certification. But anybody else can join in too. You don't have to ask us. You don't have to wait for us. You can, go online and look for different companion device options. You could put up your own repeater on your own property, and just, look at meshcore.io and start joining in the community and helping us build it out. So what we're looking for from the Kingston community is some help building out this network. So we need a dedicated tech team. This won't be an OLS team. The Meshcore network belongs to the tech community. So if we want a strong network and we want a strong, really robust repeaters, we need a strong tech team. So we're looking for people that have played with things like Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, have some experience with programming, who might lend a hand in this effort, and join the team that's already on the Discord server. We do see a risk that somebody might send out an urgent message that should be going to emergency services. But if they don't have a way to do that, we're a little bit concerned that somebody might send out a message for help that needs a 911 call. So we're looking for some people who are at home that could monitor the messages, um, just to make sure we're not missing urgent requests, and who could just respond if there's simple requests like where do I get such and such from, or how do I get this kind of support? Maybe there's people at home that could help respond to those messages. We're looking for locations for repeaters. So again, we need about 10 across Kingston, and we're looking for very tall spots. So one of the communities we've reached out to is some churches that we work with to see if they would consider putting them on their spires, or higher if they have higher up buildings. But there's lots of options within Kingston. Um, we're looking for funding for companion devices once this rolls out. Again, OLS has committed $5,000 to get started, and that should get, a number of people onto the network. But the count about the number of people without homes in Kingston is well over 1,000 people. We don't expect that many people to actually participate in the network, but when somebody does want to, or shows the interest and ability to participate in the network, we want to be able to enable them. So we're going to be looking for funding opportunities for more companion devices. And we know we're going to need to, it's a new technology, it's a new concept, even though it seems like, it's a new technology and an old technology because we're just texting. But we're going to need some volunteers that are willing to help educate people on how to use the companion devices, how to interact with the network, best practices, where to get the technology from, and, how we can work together as a community to make this a really robust network. And then because we haven't found a standalone device yet that we're super happy with, we're going to need a lot of people that we interact with have some kind of smartphone, tablet, or laptop. They just might not have a cell service, or they're dependent on Wi-Fi. But as we grow this network out, we're going to need to get technology in the hands of other people so that they can use their companion device until we can find a standalone companion device that we're happy with. So I went by that really fast, but does anybody have any questions about all of this? I agree. Okay, I'm going home.
No, wait,
Oh, wait,
wait.
I
I'm
am
just
home.
turning stuff on. I have questions.
Mhm.
You talked about the repeaters.
Yeah.
What is the cost of each repeater?
So we are going with a homey design that Andrew Gagnon came up with. I'm not maybe, and the other Andrew that's on the call, maybe I don't know who else contributed to that design. But each repeater with the solar panel, that we've priced out is $237. And that's making it, that's not a commercial product. That's one that we're making so that we can replace parts if parts fail.
Okay,
So some parts have a 2 to 3 year lifespan, some have a 10-year lifespan. So this way we can take them apart and replace just individual parts and put them back up.
and in the presentation, it showed that the batteries can last up to a year. If those batteries um, run out, can they be recharged, or do they need to be replaced? And if so, what's the cost?
It's solar. There's a solar panel attached to the batteries, so it's solar that's recharging them. And some of the batteries can, like the systems can run for 30 days without any solar input at all. So in the winter, I don't know if you have like solar lights or solar security cameras. Sometimes in the winter, they glitch out. So this way, the strength of the battery being able to last 30 days will help reduce that.
Okay, and then is there the potential ever that the batteries may need to be replaced in that?
It
Like,
could happen. I mean, it's technology, right? So things
right.
technology isn't perfect, but the way we're building them, we can replace individual parts without it being a big burden.
Okay, and then moving on to the next thing.
Mhm.
Does the Meshcore system have a capacity limit? Like you're talking about getting, you're saying like there's 1,000 people homeless in Kingston alone. If you had 1,000 people on the system all at once sending
Mhm.
individual short messages,
Mhm.
would it slow the system down?
It could. It
It
could.
could.
So that's why we need help from the community and the tech team to monitor the system and make sure that we're not that we're able to communicate in reasonable time. So what you could see in that kind of scenario, if we don't have a robust system, is that messages are really slow to get to the person. Um, and then depending on how the coverage we do get once the repeaters are in place, we might need to strategize if there's interference.
Okay, you're saying if we don't have a robust system, would more of the repeaters create a more robust system?
And there's
So,
different kinds of repeaters, different kinds of tech and different kind of features that we can use. So we can work through that as we build out the system.
okay. And in the one of the last slides that you put up there, it showed that any companion device could be like a tablet or an old cell phone or a laptop or anything like that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a specific device that you're seeking out right now.
No, so the key would be it has to have Bluetooth. So
Okay.
that's going to limit what old means. Um, and also, it needs to be connected to, there needs to be a way to add an app to the phone. So it needs to be able to connect to the Play Store, the Apple, the App Store. Um, so, old is in like if it's an old BlackBerry, it's not probably going to play along very well.
Okay, so it's probably the stuff I own.
Yeah, it's the stuff you're still using.
Stop.
Yes, you will probably have to upgrade your phone.
Oh,
Hmm.
well, I'll have to think up another.
But your laptop should be okay.
I'll have to think up a really hard question for you to come back with just for that.
Okay, well, Andrew's on the call to answer really hard technical questions, so and to interrupt me if I screw it up. Right, Andrew?
You're doing great. You're nailing it.
Chrissy?
Okay, so if it's I don't know, I'm not a tech whiz or anything, so like I by no means pretend that I am. So if it's an app, then but it still works even if they don't have Wi-Fi?
Hmm.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool because I was sitting here wondering that and I'm like it's probably going to be a dumb question, but no question asked is a dumb question. So,
Yeah, no, this is the cool part of it. Like for some people are building out these mesh core networks as like I want to say doomsday prepper kind of, like just in
okay.
case everything, all the power goes, right? And we already know that the city of Kingston is going to be looking at rolling blackouts because last year they made a report to council about the city being near capacity for our electrical grid. Um,
Yeah,
and so once the AC units turn on, I'm pretty nervous about electrical capacity. But it's to the point where the city of Kingston has stopped buying electrical vehicles to add to their fleet because we're hitting capacity. So when that happens, we're going to be losing power. If we don't build out more transformer stations or more ways to generate electricity, we're going to be losing power. And when we lose power, that means losing Wi-Fi connectivity and losing cell connectivity. Um,
yeah.
so then what happens? So the mesh core network is a perfect kind of stand-in in those kind of situations.
I just wanted to add that I think this is a really cool idea.
Thanks. Blame, blame your nephew. Your nephew kind of instigated some of this.
I will blame him. He's in the other room being quiet.
That's very unusual.
Yeah, no, I told him to be quiet, so he listens well sometimes. All right, that's all the questions I had.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mike here. Just
Mike?
hi, Crystal. Uh, could you clarify exactly where you are in the project stage of this? It's funding's been approved. You're looking at technologies, you're looking at sites, but
Mhm.
Nothing further than that at this point in time. Is that correct?
I will say OLS has got approved funding. We're really excited about this stage and it's going to be really cool. We're not at the, oh my goodness, this is a lot of work yet stage. But so funding's been approved by the OLS board to start putting up repeaters. We've got a couple of locations that have approved putting repeaters on their site. We're waiting for other requests to come out. So having locations is the biggest key right now. And then the companion devices. I am kind of waiting for a sponsorship request that I made that I made to see if we can just get the companion devices from the manufacturer. There is already a Meshcore network between Sydenham and Harrowsmith, and if you live in the West End, you can connect to a repeater out there. And somebody has been testing how far. So each repeater, the theoretical range is 10 kilometers. It doesn't, but there can be interference. There can be, buildings in the way, or there can be trees in the way. Somebody's been testing the kind of range of that repeater in the West End.
So is it your intention to start putting up repeaters immediately and then try to build out as you go along, or are you trying to secure all the locations first before you put anything up?
We Before we start launching it to the people that we support, we want to make sure that they can access the network. So, we want to make sure that the places that there's encampments or the places where people are stuck outside can access the network. And then we'll start handing out companion devices to those people. But until that point, it's just going to be frustrating for them. We don't want them to be like, hey, excited about a new technology, learn it, and then find out where their encampment is, can't reach the technology. So that's where the volunteers come in, people who want to be kind of beta testers and who are already near repeaters that can kind of play with the technology and work through any kinks that we or hiccups that we might have hit.
Okay. Um, I'm just curious about uptake on this.
Mhm.
Do you have a sense of where um, your clients are with when it comes to this type of technology, or have you, did some informal surveys or anything like that? Like what is their perspective on this project?
So we did have a meeting about it, and like our kind of internal group meeting with people with lived experience. And I have gone out to our core street outreach team to give them information and share that they've received, if they can, receive the Kingston Crow article to help explain it, and I've been asking them questions about it. So like for instance, there's somebody on our outreach team who's an OLS alumni who lives in Bell Park. But to be able to communicate with me, she has to run up to the ICH building to get close to their Wi-Fi network because out in Bell Park there's no connectivity. So, for her, she's pretty excited about it. And on her own, she actually asked me first about getting signed up for first aid. So she's going to join the Elizabeth Fry first aid session at the end of May. Um, but so far they're pretty excited. And I think part of the excitement is this is something that could be theirs. Nobody, can tell that once the Meshcore network is set up, they can create their own groups of people to chat with and they can keep in contact with each other on the street, which is pretty key to, um, survival.
What's the biggest volunteer gap you have right now on the team? Like what's the most important position you need filled for from a volunteer perspective?
Can I put you in a corner? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
I'm asking because I
you and
know
I
the answer.
you and I talked about project management. I have a very busy job, and while I understand the concept well and have rolled out, long distance calling systems in New York City, quite large and robust systems, I could use some help from somebody else overseeing and asking the right questions. And then I think if we focus on getting our tech side built up, first to make sure that the system is robust before we start handing out companion devices. That would make a lot of sense to me. So I don't think there's anybody on the call from there, but there is a research group at Queen's in telecommunications. I have reached out to them, but I haven't heard back yet.
From a project management standpoint, or just a participation
No,
standpoint?
just for a participation standpoint, I do think that this whole initiative would be a great PhD project, but I'm not getting a PhD.
Yeah. One more question. So you
Mhm.
have capital um, expenditures approved.
Mhm.
Have you, what is the timeline for maintain, or how are we going to maintain this network over time? Like it's going to
Mhm.
cost. So what
Um,
kind of considerations have there been for operating expenses?
so we have operating expenses should be minimal. There's no user fee, there's no licensing fee. It's just replacing parts as parts misbehave. The software is open source. So we're hoping to build out a strong enough tech team that can, deal with the any glitches we find in the different pieces equipment that we use. Um, but OLS has a pretty strong charitable bingo team, and our biggest problem is spending the money, so, which is, not an awful problem to have. So I'm pretty comfortable that if we had to replace a couple of repeaters a month, we'd be okay.
Oh yeah, that, which leads into another interesting question. Uh, what an antenna breaks down middle of January 2027.
Hmm.
Will we have a team, or like who will be responsible for going in and
Hmm.
diagnosing, troubleshooting, replacing? Like, do we have? Are we going to have a team built up? Planned from the from the like, so
From the
instead of trying
volunteers.
to give you the
That's
answer,
my hope. So
yeah,
one of the key pieces of this Meshcore network to keep in mind is OLS won't own the network. Nobody owns the network, right? This is a community network.
mhm,
So OLS will own some repeaters. So those ones we will be responsible for. And the ones where we're making arrangements with organizations to put or companies to put the repeaters on their properties, we'll have to have formal agreements with those companies. But anybody else can add a repeater too. So it depends on, if it's an OLS repeater, we're aiming at 10, so we have to worry about 10, right? Um, and then other people in the community or people in more rural areas could add it, and then they'd be responsible for managing and fixing their repeater. But my hope is that we'll have a strong enough community that we can help each other.
okay, good. Thanks. Those are my questions.
Uh, Also, too, like if one repeater, say it does go down, if there is a good group of repeaters up, it would just change the path
Hmm.
the messages go. So like just because one goes down, doesn't mean that the whole system would be going down.
Hmm.
The more repeaters, the more redundancy, the higher the reliability.
Hmm.
Which is the strength behind a mesh network, right? It
Exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you have lose one, typically, the service doesn't go down. It might be a little spotty for those, for those individuals in that area, but hopefully, they're going to get that, still going to get the coverage that they need and deserve. I
Yeah.
just kind of worried, we got these things out, it fails. Who's going to react to them? That's just my longer term,
Yeah.
would be my longer term concern. That's all.
Mhm.
As Crystal said, it's like there'll be lots of people that are already out there. Like
Yeah.
we've already been putting up repeaters around Kingston and continue to
Hmm.
plan doing it. Lo Locations are definitely a big part of it, though. Trying to find something high up to get the best
Hmm.
bang for your buck.
There is a question in the chat. Do you have any pictures, video of the user interface, user side, or does it just look like normal text messaging? Um, I could find some for you, but it looks, when I was looking at it, it looked kind of like, what you would see in Text Plus app or WhatsApp. Pretty simple. There is a built-in map as well, so you can see where other people are if they choose to turn their GPS tracking on. So one of the features that I do like is that you can turn GPS tracking on and off. So if we need to find somebody, we can ask them to turn it on or turn on their tracking, and we can see where they are in a map. But it's GPS, so not 100% placement reliable.
Crystal, I'm just curious if places like Bell Park, if more than one person can use or connect via Bluetooth to these companion devices? Like how many of those are we giving out?
So as far as we've seen so far, one companion device, one whatever tech device. So we need to give each individual a companion device. Can you see, you do street outreach work? Can you see people using this?
I can see it being very useful. Just finding where people are at, if they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be there when they say they're going to be there, and them getting connected to services. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can
The
see it being very
amount
useful.
of time we spend, both of us spend looking for each other, looking for people. It's a lot. It's significant.
Yeah.
The other there's an enhancement or an option that somebody's looking into from the Discord group, where it's not like a website because it doesn't connect to the internet, but it's a way to send a page, a simple page. So I could see that being used for announcements or for, say, this is where you get food today, or something that's more than just a single line message. So I think that'd be exciting if we can get that built out as well.
Especially, I think too, because like a lot of the women that are in the encampments, and Julie, I'm just throwing that out there for you too, is a lot of them don't know that there's food twice a month at Elizabeth Fry, and then we do fun things like we made cupcakes and decorated them and stuff like that today, right? And women are also welcome to come Monday to Friday to do laundry or have a shower, and it's an all woman facility. So I mean, those are things that I've found going into the encampments that a lot of the women, they don't realize that that's there for them to be able to use.
Hmm.
So I think that's something that would be like that would be positive to have on that page that you're talking about, Crystal.
Hmm. And the other use case I can see is if we know, like, we'll know about people's appointments. And I gave Andrew Gagnon this use case on the weekend. I was like panicked because I knew somebody had court on Monday and I knew they didn't know they had court on Monday and I hadn't seen them for a few days. And I was out looking for them and I was like, oh, they're going to miss court. There's going to be a warrant and it's not good, right? And then fortunately, I was like, oh, this is exactly the kind of use case where I could just send them a message and say, hey, reminder, you have court in the morning. Fortunately, I did manage to find, or they managed to find me, and they made it to court. But those are the kind of things where if we know people have appointments, because missed appointments is there's a high rate of missed appointments in the people we support for lots of good reasons. So if we can send out those reminders in a way that's reliable, then that'll be helpful too.
I'm just curious, what's the optimal height for the receptors?
Hey, Mr. Gagnon. Um, Andrew can answer that one.
Did you hear the question, Andrew?
I did not. What was the question?
I was just asking what was the optimal height for the receptors, or the repeaters, sorry.
The higher, the better. So what helps this signal get out is elevation, basically. Elevation is beyond everything else. Even with lower power transmission, you can reach further if you're at a good altitude.
Okay. Okay.
Like, if anybody has a contact with Princess Towers, for example, that would be a great spot to put
I
in.
was just thinking the same thing, and that new building that they're just putting up too on Queen Street, it's as high as Princess Towers already, and they're still building.
Mhm. Yep, the Homestead one.
Well, just for the record, I mean, it's not the highest built, tallest building in the city by any means, but I do have a flat roof that's 28 feet above ground, plus probably 30 feet above ground. And I'm on the edge of Bell Park, which is going to be one of the hot spots, I would think, for the use of this
Hmm.
service. So
Yep,
if you need and want, it's there.
awesome. You
And
also have a
when,
cell phone tower right across the street that's not being used.
yeah, I think that might, yeah,
I was
that might.
I was also thinking the same thing, ladies.
Mhm. Another
They'll
thing
never
too,
notice.
if the system or as the system expands, not if, but when the system
Mhm.
expands, going from Kingston to Smiths Falls, my brother owns a piece of property down on the outskirts of Smiths Falls that I know would be also welcoming of having a repeaters put up there.
That's awesome. They think the Ottawa Meshcore can reach to Smith Falls.
Okay, well, if they need another location, he's on Matheson Road, just outside of town.
And we're hoping we've made some requests to people, some farmers on Wolf Island and Amherst Island to put a repeater on their silos. And we're hoping with that we can reach to Belleville. Which would be great. But that'll cover most of our waterfront as well.
Okay, if you don't get anything with Wolf Island, let me know because I have a friend that's over there that's got a hop farm, so they have a lot of poles, right?
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, Mike, I'll share this slide deck after the meeting. Other questions? Comments, ideas? Tough crowd tonight. So I'm just going to leave you with our contact information for now until I'm on the Meshcore network too. So you can reach us by phone, by email. You can check out our website, and I didn't put our Facebook account. That's the only social media we're using right now is Facebook, only because we have to. If you have questions after this meeting, if you have ideas after this meeting, feel free to reach out and share your ideas. All good. You guys are so
Yeah,
quiet.
thank you, Crystal. Great job.
You're so quiet.
And again, I think this is a great idea. Absolutely wonderful.
It's an ambitious project, but I think it's achievable. That's important.
Two ADHD deers together, I think will be awesome. We bet. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to say good night. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Talk to you
Thanks,
tomorrow,
Crystal.
Crystal.
Okay.
Thank you
Good
very
night,
much.
everyone.
Good
Thanks
night.
for the
Night.
presentation, Crystal.
Bye,
Andrew,
Anthony.
guys.
Love you.